Coming up, I spend 12 hours exploring the Chernobyl exclusion zone, the most radioactive place on the planet, where we explore the abandoned city of Pripyat.
And now it's very abandoned. This is the main city square. There's an abandoned tree that's fallen across it.
See Reactor 4, and of course get in touching distance with the famous Ferris wheel. I'll also show you around pre-invasion Kyiv, and that it is in fact a normal European city, not some faraway war zone. So to put this trip in context before people start typing in the comments section why I visited Ukraine during the invasion, this was about 3 months before they invaded. It was in the start of December 2021 and Russia invaded in February, so about 2.5 months before, but they started to amass the troops on the border, and I was told by a few people, well, I was questioned if we should go or not, but we did end up going. It was only a short weekend, it was 2 full days, and so yeah, we decided just to go for it.
And we are in Kyiv, Ukraine.
Kyiv is on the doorstep of the Chernobyl exclusion zone, a 2-hour drive from a place known as the most radioactive on Earth, after Reactor 4 exploded in 1986. The zone marks the boundary of safe and unsafe, and it is illegal to enter without a guide. So early the next morning, that was where we headed.
So we've arrived at the 30-kilometre checkpoint, which is just behind me there. We've been given these meters which measure the amount of radioactivity we get subject to throughout the day. So hopefully it won't be that high, but we're looking forward to the day. What are we thinking?
I'm excited.
You excited?
It's gonna be good.
It's gonna be good.
Looking forward to it.
It's gonna be good. Let's go.
Hey yo.
Not the same.
Legit the same.
So background radiation outside 30-kilometre zone is 0.15. So we're in the first village, which is in the buffer zone, which is called Zalesa, which was home to 3,000 people, and it's just completely overgrown with trees.
Next up was the radar tower, which did and still can pick up signals from as far away as the Pacific Ocean.
Bridges up there is what they used to repair it, which is dead high. I would not work up there. How much would I have to pay you to work up there?
Nothing.
Why? How much, Cam?
I'd say nothing as well. It'd be awesome. Got to view the whole city.
Got scared of heights, I couldn't do that.
Next up, we headed to the kindergarten, which was possibly one of the spookiest things I've ever seen. kilometre zone and went to go and see the actual reactor 4 that exploded.
So that there is reactor 4, the site of the biggest ever nuclear disaster.
Also picture stop. Yeah, let's do it really quick here. Jump out, make a picture.
Let's go. So Pripyat was a modern city. It was only had city status for about 7 years before it was evacuated, and it was home to about 50,000 people who all worked in the reactor and their families and such. The average background radiation in Ukraine is usually about 0.13. Here it's 0.63, so not too high. That's because some years have passed and they've relayed all the soil. However, this noise shows it's over the recommended allowance for Ukraine. So yeah, it's still much higher.
Means again that you have to wait the whole hour, not here, not there, but exactly in this tiny place, yeah, because gamma can be stopped even by the air, yeah, so like 20 centimeters from this source of radioactivity doesn't work anymore. But even if you would spend the whole hour, you would get 120, it's still less than you would get in one X-ray of your chest, yeah. Anyway, you've got one in 5 hours in the zone, you've got one more in like 20 seconds here in this tiny hotspot.
I sometimes imagine B&M bargains to look like. So Pripyat was a really modern city. It only had city status for what was about 7 years before it had to be evacuated, and now it's very abandoned. This is the main city square. There's an abandoned tree that's fallen across it.
And the Ferris wheel is probably the most iconic feature of Pripyat, made most famous by Call of Duty Warzone.
Did the Ferris wheel live up to expectations?
No.
No. There is life in Chernobyl. And people here didn't really want to evacuate. They saw the 3-day evacuation period as 3 days off, and they all left it to the final few hours before they actually left, spending time at the stadium and swimming pool that we've just seen. And who can blame them? Radioactivity is obviously an invisible enemy, and they didn't really realise the true extent until years later.
1,300 buses came to pick them up from the city, and city was evacuated in less than 3 hours. Another 5,000 people, they stayed in the city in order to fight with the accident at the power plant and in order to conserve the city. And of course, when people left, they left almost everything what they owned here. Yep. So it was very interesting for them to come back, and this possibility was opened for people only in autumn '86. Yep. So driving until Relic checkpoint, where we would have first. I have 1.8 right now, 2.3. 2.6, 2.9, 3, 9.
So this area is named the Red Forest, and it was called that after the colour of the trees, which were all killed by the radioactivity.
9.1, 11, 13, 25. Yeah, 25 is staying almost 100 times higher. 26 is where the most of the fallout stayed, in the central part. And these were the levels inside of the moving bus right now on the road. Yeah, so if you leave the bus and stay for longer, you would have higher measurement. If you walk right, it would be much higher measurement, because you have kind of very interesting situation here, because a lot of stuff was very hot, so it went very high up right away from the reactor, and then it was moved by wind on bigger distances, cooled down and settled down. So it kind of jumped over this territory. So it's dangerous on a bigger distance from the reactor than on the closest distance. Plus there was a lot of cleanup here, so it's cleaner, yeah, but if you move deeper in the forest, it would be much higher than this. Yeah.
On the way out, we were scanned for any radiation we were carrying, and if the levels were too high on any of our clothes or on the bus, we'd have had to leave it in the zone. But fortunately, we had no contamination. Now that's where I was actually planning on leaving the video. However, now Russia have invaded Ukraine and Kyiv's become a bit of a war zone, a conflict zone, I thought I'd show you parts of the vlog that I never thought I'd upload to the channel. So we did some touristy stuff the next day, some quite cool things that Kyiv has to offer. But the most important thing I really want to show you is it's just a normal European city, which you'd never have expected to be in a conflict zone 3 months after we'd left. So overall, we loved Ukraine, and it's really difficult to get your head around what's happened since we left. At time of recording, 60% of people in the city don't have access to water, while there's also massive energy insecurity due to Russian strikes on infrastructure. Ukraine's definitely one of my favourite countries in Europe, and I will visit again, but for now, Slava Ukraina.